Good morning, good afternoon, good evening from wherever you're watching from. My name is Charming and this is Charming Fusion Networks. And today I'm joined by the learners from Ajam Education for Life program, and in today's session I'll be taking them and all of you who are watching through the computer maintenance and PC support, and particularly the components found in the system unit. So this is what we normally call the system unit in a computer, and actually this is one of the most important hardware parts of a computer. So we have the system unit. So the system unit, we normally define it as the rectangular box that houses the computer components. Okay, the rectangular box that houses the computer components. So in this particular lesson, we'll be able to see some of the components found in the system unit. So to open this, you just need to pull over this chassis over here. You just need to press it down and you just pull it up, and here is our computer. All right. So from here, we'll begin from the most important part, which is the power supply. So this is the power supply of a computer, the system unit. Now the power supply is normally used to power the motherboard, of which now in return it powers all the other components inside this particular system unit. So this is the power supply here. So this is the power supply, the part that we say powers the motherboard, which in return powers all the other parts of the system unit. Now in this particular power supply, we have a power supply fan. So this is the fan that basically regulates heat into the power supply. So you can have a look at it. So that is the power supply. You can just pass it over, and then we get to see another component. So the other component that we are going to talk about here is what you would call basically the internal memory of a computer. The internal memory of a computer. So this is specifically a hard disk. Some other people prefer to call it a hard drive. Yes. So in this particular memory, this is where you find the operating system of this computer and all the other media that is found in a computer, music, videos and everything. So this is the hard disk, or some other people tend to call it the computer's hard drive. So this is how basically it looks like. Here I've got with me another hard drive that is normally also used in a computer. So exactly the difference between this and this is that this specific one is normally used in the system unit, while the smaller one is normally used in the laptops. So here it is. Now when we get to talk about computer memory, we talk about capacity and size. So in this case, the size is basically the physical size, while the capacity is the storage, the internal storage in that particular part. Now the size of a hard drive does not really define its capacity. It could be this so much big, yet its capacity is smaller even compared to the one for the laptop. So here they are, and actually this one is from Thailand, while this other one is for the Samsung company. So you can have a look at it. Can pass it over. Yes, so that is yet another very important part of a computer memory. So a computer cannot be able to work without a memory, because basically that's where the operating system is installed for a computer. We said that the operating system basically tells the computer hardware what to do. So that is very crucial. Another very crucial part here is the RAM. The RAM. This is actually what we normally call the main memory of a computer. So basically a computer cannot even be able to power up without a RAM, the main memory of a computer, this particular storage. So cannot even power up. The moment it powers up without this particular RAM, you will hear some certain noise, T, something that looks that way. So this is the RAM, and actually this is the specific RAM that is normally used in system units or the desktop computers. It is this big. With me here, I've got another RAM that is also normally used in computing, but this one is normally used in the laptops, while this one is for desktop computers, the system unit. So here they are. And then again, also we remember that its a physical size does not define its storage capacity. So this is yet another very, very crucial component found inside the system unit. Come have a look at it. So what is the storage? What is the storage capacity? Check. Haijaandikwa. Haijaandika. So it is zboard. Imezibo. Sijui kama you can be able to see it. Where is the other one? What is the capacity of that one? What is the capacity? 2 GB. Yeah, 2 GB. So how much do you think a 2 GB RAM would cost? Whenever you go to purchase, whenever yours for the computer has failed and you need to purchase a new one or another one to continue operating in your computer, how much do you think that one would cost, a 2 GB RAM? Approximately. Now then again, it also depends with how you get to present yourself. When you go to a shop and say nipatie ile kitu ya kuweka kwa computer ndio ifanye kazi, tutatandikwa bei. So you need again to be able to understand just some of this one. Now 2 GB RAM would cost somewhere between 2,000 to 3,000 shillings. Yeah. Yes, and actually it's the same case both the one that goes with the laptop. So this is the part that we normally say in computing, if you ever heard that when the power is lost, the data is also lost. Okay, so this one is the one that holds data temporarily. Okay, it is called the RAM, random access memory. Then from that part we go to another part here that is called this one. This one. So what do you think is the name of this? CMOS. CMOS. Now CMOS are the initials for what? What are the initials for? What is the full name for this device? CMOS. Complementary metal oxide semiconductor. Complementary metal oxide semiconductor. Now this particular device here normally looks like the battery of a clock, a watch, or whatever. This is how basically it looks like. Now this one, in most of the times the power is not lost, basically because it is normally powered by the motherboard, so it cannot lose its power. But sometimes it often loses its some kind of its power in a way that it does not operate. It cannot operate. What I mean, basically it cannot be charged elsewhere and then inserted in the computer. Now the power of the function of the CMOS battery is normally used to keep what we call a real time. Real time in this case we mean number one, time, and number two, it gives you the accuracy or the adjustments that you make in your computer. Like now, for example, whenever you get to install another RAM, or even probably to install another RAM in your computer, or even to change your RAM and whatever, it gives you the total capacity that you have in your computer from the settings of the computer. So this one is normally very, very important. You can have a look at it. It's called the CMOS, the complementary metal oxide semiconductor. Now there is yet another part here. This part here. Bako. Backfire. Kimebako. So there is yet another part here that we normally call the CD drive. The CD drive. Now this is the part now that you get to put your CD whenever you want to listen to music or even watch a movie. This is the part that basically holds the component or the compartment for placing on your CD drive. So or your CD, it's called a CD drive. Now most of the computers currently right now, they do not come along with this one. With the time it's getting so much outdated, because right now people are installing or having their backups or even their media from any other devices apart from the CD, the compact discs. Okay, yes. Now before we continue, how many fans are in our computer? How many fans are in our computer? Which one and which one? So we have this fan here on this power supply. Then we have yet another fan here. There is another fan here that you can be able to see. Here it is. So what is the name of this fan? The CPU fan, but we shall get there. So our computer has got two fans. Anyway, we go to the other part here. Now there is another part here that is called the heat sink. This is called the heat sink. Now the heat sink basically is normally used to regulate power or to regulate temperatures around the CPU. The CPU, we said, is the central processing unit, and actually it is placed under this power heat sink. So whenever this fan here gets to work, kupepeta, kuzunguka. Yeah? Now the heat sink in this case picks now that picks that air now in this case, then it uses that one to regulate the CPU or the central processing unit. Therefore basically, which means if the power or if the fan does not work, the CPU fan, basically that computer cannot be able even to power up, because it understands or even it gets a notice that the fan is not working. Therefore the CPU might even overheat. So this one needs to keep on being in place. Now this is the heat sink. We said that the heat sink is normally used to regulate power around the system or around the CPU, that is the central processing unit. All right, now I can be able to see that we have really gone through a lot in this components of the components of the central process or the system unit. Now I want us to go to some other parts here. Yes, now this part here. So we are having these parts here that are normally called the USB. USB stands for Universal Serial Bus. So basically these ports here are used to hold or even to hold the controllers of for example like the keyboard or even the mouse. Now we have some others here as we get to compare the USB and these others here. Now the medium of transfer, in this case we have this green one and this other color. Which color? Color again? Oh, purple. Yeah, okay, so the colors there. So this one, actually it has got a drawing like a symbol for mouse, and then we have the one for the keyboard. Now this is a very earlier technology that was used for medium of transfer. Yes, so but right now we are having USB, Universal Serial Bus. Now this other part here is called the VGA. VGA stands for Video Graphics Array. Now this one is normally used for display, to display. So basically whenever you get to connect a cable here, then the other end to go to the screen or to the monitor, you get to see now the operations in this particular computer. Okay. Yes, now we've got another part here, another port here that is normally called the Ethernet port. This one is for connecting to the internet, for basically for those computers which do not have the Wi-Fi connectivity or the wireless connectivity. I'm not really sure if there is other part, probably I've not been able to go through. Now when we talk about USB ports, this computer has got so many USB ports. It has got these ones, and then there are some others at the back here. So you can be able to see there are so many USB ports. Unlike laptops, a very good laptop probably that comes along with many USB ports, it's probably like 3, a maximum of 3 USB ports. But now this one you can be able to see it's so many. These others here are basically for audio and voice recorders. Okay. Yes. Now, do you have a question up to that point? Now I was gonna talk about this device here. Now this device is normally used to blow. It's normally used to blow to remove dust around the computer. Right now it's not connected to the power, but it's normally a very good device. Basically its work is just to blow to remove the dust around the computer, and actually that is just one of the biggest important part when it comes to maintaining your computer. All right, any question? Any question? Now, if there is no any other question, we are the ones who are going now to connect this computer back just the way it was. We start with which part? We can start with the RAM. So who is starting? Take the RAM. Take the RAM. Put it. Haya, tusaidiane tuweke hizi tumalize. You put where? Around this. This. Bado hapa kwa press na chini. Good. Haya, we go to this other one. Take. Guide us. Yeah, the ports. Hapa. Kuna hako kingine. Nice. Which other part is other one? Begin around somewhere. Tusaidiane tuweke hiyo. Bado. Leo siwasaidia. Bado. Tuone huko iko juu. So hii kwa kushika hivi, acha nikusho. So hii unashika tu hivi, place it tu hivi. Naona hizi joints hizi zinakuja zina drop. Hii ni ya mbele, hii nyingine ni ya nyuma. Sasa hizo uta connect tu. So good, that was our lesson for today. Make sure that you subscribe, like, comment and share, and see you on the next one.